Welcome back to another episode of Prime Time. I've got Nick beside me. We just had Magic Round past us, but we've got a massive week coming up. We're taking the show on the road. We're headed to Newark, New Jersey for UFC 302.
I can't wait. It's an underrated card, probably one of the most underrated cards, which brings us to the fan question of the week.
The fan question is UFC 302 the most underrated card of the year?
Yes, it is. I think if you look at the cards that have happened this year, Panthers is probably the worst one. The best one was probably UFC 300, but considering the hype and the build-up to that, it can't be underrated.
Yeah, but because everyone was taking a shit on UFC 300 and how it performed, the BMF fight, the exceptional performances from Pereira, I think based on what everyone thought it was going to be, it was an underrated card.
Okay, going through the year though, Sean O'Malley to Chito Vera, that was a very good card.
Great fight.
That could contend for the most underrated. Had a good stack card below it as well. Volkanovski's card had Rob Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, but I think it was pretty underwhelming. And then other than that, 300. So 302, if it does go well, you've got one of the most electrifying personalities in Paulo Costa, another electrifying personality in Sean Strickland.
Okay, take it easy on electrifying. These guys are I'd say why UFC 302 is so intriguing. You got two title contenders. Paulo Costa had a great showing against Rob Whittaker, but Strickland's gone for a title shot. He wants to get that rematch for his belt that he never got. And then one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. You take a look at their Twitter. They're some of the funniest blokes in the UFC. They say whatever they want. They don't care. Almost to the point where Sean Strickland's getting kicked out of countries to a point. He doesn't care. It's going to be funny to see him in New York. And then you've got Islam Makhachev having a title fight, a long-awaited title fight. We haven't seen him in the octagon since he fought Volk.
It's last October, so that's nearly a, 8-month layoff? And he's supposed to be an active champion. He's supposed to be someone that can, fight anybody anytime. And for Islam, it's a dangerous fight. Dustin Poirier, yes, he probably doesn't deserve the fight, but he is someone that can knock people out. You've seen him against McGregor. You've seen him against Justin Gaethje. Yes, he got knocked out last time, but he's got knockout power.
They're saying this could be possibly Dustin Poirier's retirement match. He knows he's going to lay it all on the line, Dustin Poirier. What I read online was actually crazy. This would be his 9th title contender that he's faced.
So out of the last 10, last 10 years, there's been 10 lightweight title holders. Dustin Poirier has fought 9 of them. Every single one except Rafael dos Anjos.
Which is pretty crazy to say. I'd say if he goes on, even puts a great performance on, it's a great way to go out. You can see he's been talking it up in the media. He wants to go out there and knock Islam out. I hope he can do it. I hope he can pull off an upset. But it'll be a great way to go out. I hope he goes out on his shield.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm going for Islam.
You going for Islam?
I want Islam to win. I respect the greatness and the dedication he shows to the sport. And Dustin Poirier, you're getting old. It's his time.
Well, going over to NRL, like I said, we just had a crazy Magic Round. Not just the footy that was played, there were some tight games, but some heavy dramas off the field. 2 NRL players have been laid off. Taylor May, he's been stood down.
What are you talking about the bad stuff for?
I'm not talking about the bad stuff. I'm just saying, yes, that's happened off the field, but also some signing news that's happened. Isaiah Papali'i has said to the Tigers, I'm leaving. I'm going to the Penrith Panthers. He's signed a deal with the Penrith Panthers. It doesn't look like anyone wants to be at the West Tigers at the moment.
If you were a West Tigers player, why would you want to be there? They haven't made the final since 2011.
Make a case for him. They've got Jerome Luai coming in. They got Taruva coming in from the Penrith Panthers. They still have a decent second rower in John Bateman. So there's some positives. It's just the club in general, they're always at the bottom of the ladder. They're always facing criticism for having a lot of consecutive losses. And it's tough to be there.
Papali'i's career at the West Tigers he went there from Parramatta, and every single year he's been there, he's tried to be released early.
He's been rumoured that he's gone.
I want to go back to Parramatta, I want to go to this team, I want to go to that team. He's finally got his wish, and he's going to possibly the best destination, the Penrith Panthers.
And this is a credit to Penrith Panthers recruitment, because every time they lose a big-name player, they seem to just be able to shift someone in. I mean, they lost Happy Kairouz, Mitch Kenny shifts into their system. They have that system where anyone can just sub in. They recruit very targetedly. Like, for example, another good example is Kikau goes to the Bulldogs. They get Luke Garner, comes straight back in. Now they've lost Fisher Harris. They're going to be on the market for a big front rower. And look, and they've just had a great signing as a second rower, Isaiah Papali'i.
And you can't say, the best are getting better. They have lost so many players. They've got cash to splash. They're on the market to sign good players, whether it be fringe first graders or whether it be star players like Papali'i.
Or they just get them from a massive Penrith junior base. Yeah. They really have the best system in the NRL right now.
And if you're the Penrith Panthers, you are a great spot to be. Usually you say Bondi, Manly, they're the best places to go as a free agent. Now Penrith Panthers are becoming one of those places.
With the treasure chest, now that Fisher Harris is gone, they just signed Papali'i, but which other forwards in the NRL would you go after?
Aside for Solomona, I think he's on the outer at Melbourne, the way they kind of
I don't think he's
have
on the
positioned
outer.
it to the start of the season. They say he's not happy, he's been in Sydney, so I think he was rumoured to sign there. And Adam Fanua-Blake, whether he goes to Cronulla or not, that's another free agent signing.
Right now, I think it's not a guarantee, but I think it's likely with the people that have rejected Tavita Pangai Jr., the Broncos have rejected him, and now Melbourne has rejected him. Penrith Panthers would be a great landing spot for
And
Tavita
he's been there
Pangai.
before.
He's been there before. He knows Ivan Cleary, and it's needed. It's needed for Penrith.
Now, going over to New South Wales Origin talk, it's come out and possibly been confirmed that Joseph Sual'i will make his debut for New South Wales.
That's right. News Corp has reported it's pretty much a done deal that Joseph Sual'i is going to be the winger for New South Wales. That means he's beating the likes of Josh Adokar, he's beating Zach Lomax to it. And a lot of the criticism, whether it's fans online or flogs in the media, is that he's gone to rugby union, he's leaving our great game. We understand that. But do you want to win Origin or not? This is what is the difference between New South Welshmen and Queenslanders. Queensland, it's win at all costs. New South Wales, is he going overseas? Is he going to rugby? Listen, pick the best team on paper and try and win.
Exactly. Pick the best team on paper, and the best winger on paper right now is Joseph Sual'i. One of the best last tackle options, a great carry out of his half, something that a lot of these other wingers don't have, especially if you're going to have Brian Toto on the other wing, who is a midget as a winger. You need some size.
He's not a great last tackle option, Brian Toto. But to their credit, they both have a good carry out of their half. Something that Josh Adokar lacks, especially at the Origin level, is they come out and bash you. When you're coming out of your half taking those carries, whether you're a front rower, whether you're a winger taking out in the early sets, you get bashed. Suali's got a better carry out of his half than Josh Adokar.
And like you said, who cares if he's going to rugby union? I recall Israel Folau making the move to the AFL 10, 15 years ago, and Queensland still picked him. So if you want to win, you pick your best team, and Suali's part of the best 17.
And I think that's what Madge wants to do. He's not going to be concerned about off-field dramas or whether or not he's going to rugby union. He's going to pick him because he is the form winger in the comp right now. It's what he does off the ball, his positional play, the last tackle option, how he carries out of his half. He's a top player and he deserves an Origin berth. You know why? Because it's tipped. It's almost guaranteed. He's going to be coming back to the Roosters. Do you think Uncle Nick's just going to let him go? He's coming back anyway. Give him a taste of Origin and let him thrive and welcome him back with open arms.
So you're saying that's part of the negotiation tactic?
I think
Uncle Nick's saying let him play New South Wales as an enticement to bring him back to the game later on.
I don't think Politis has a say in selection, but I'm assuming Sual'i's going to come back. I want to see him back in the game, and giving him an Origin berth would be great for him.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Now looking at our top 5, make sure you subscribe to @Kairouz Brothers where you can get all our top 5s, and on Instagram @Jon-Bernard K. This week's top 5, Nick?
The top 5 biggest upsets of all time.
Starting at number 5, Holly Holm knocking out Ronda Rousey. This happened in Melbourne. Australians were treated to one of the biggest UFC upsets of all time. Right at this point, Ronda Rousey was the hottest thing in pay-per-view. She was one of the most dominant athletes in the UFC. Holly Holm was a nobody.
A nobody in the UFC scene, in the MMA scene. She was a great boxer, but coming into this fight, she was paying 22-1. She shocked the world, and I can say personally, I've never had more joy in seeing someone get head kicked.
The preacher's daughter gave her a head kick, knocked her out cold. It was one of the most viral things in the UFC. Still to this day, haunts Ronda Rousey.
At number 4, we're going Greece winning the 2004 Euros. Greece was paying 151-1 going into the tournament. Every Greek restaurant in the world has a Euros 2004 special.
Yeah.
It's strictly because how significant this upset was.
At number 3, we're going Saudi Arabia upsetting Messi's Argentina at the World Cup. This no one expected. Argentina were up 1-0. They come back and win 2-1. It was such a big win. The Crown Prince gifted every player a Rolls-Royce Phantom. They even gave the people of Saudi Arabia the day off the next day, a public holiday, to commemorate the big win.
It was that big of an upset. MBS wanted to treat the players and the people of Saudi Arabia. At number 2, Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson. This was paying 42-1. This is known as one of the biggest upsets in history. In 1990, Mike Tyson was one of the scariest people of all time. No one wanted to fight him and no one thought he could lose. And Buster Douglas walked into Japan and just knocked him out.
I'm sure Jake Paul will be watching Buster Douglas highlights.
We'll see if he can do it.
And number 1 is Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016. Before the Premier League season, Leicester City were 5,000-1.
If you're a time traveller and you can bet on one thing, you're not investing in Google, you're not investing in Amazon, you're travelling back to 2015 and putting all your money on Leicester City to win the Premier League.
Probably one of the biggest shocks in Premier League history.
If you look at the big 6 clubs, they've had a stranglehold on the Premier League for at least 30 years. There's been no way a small club is going to win the Premier League. They shocked the world and it probably will never happen again.
Yeah, it's Man City's turn now, but it was great times with Leicester City. Well, there you have it. That is our top 5 biggest upsets of all time. Make sure you subscribe to the Kairouz Bros. Going over to UFC, like I said, we are there for UFC 302 next week. But Nick, what everyone's talking about with regards to UFC is Conor McGregor's comeback. Conor McGregor's making a return at UFC 303. It's in Las Vegas. Conor McGregor was addressing fan questions, but you could see him with a pint of Guinness, and he was doing everything in his power to resist this beer.
If you're Michael Chandler and you're seeing this clip, you're shitting yourself. If you're getting a Conor McGregor who, against all odds, is smelling the beer and not drinking it, you're finished. You're getting knocked out. You stand no chance.
He said he's an intense fight camp. You're looking at Conor McGregor's preparation. He looks so serious right now that he did not touch this pint of beer. Didn't take a sip. He was sniffing it. It was very close to his lips. He did want to try it, but he's locked in. His laser focus for UFC 303. And like you said, I'd be very worried if I was Michael Chandler. He's coming in with a brand new shin. Okay, he's got a titanium shin. He's not touching any alcohol. I don't know what substances he's taking when you listen to his Twitter recordings, because he's quite entertaining. But what I'm going to say is this guy wants to go on a UFC run.
He means business right now. We're going to see Prime, Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor in this octagon. We're going to see someone that knocked out Jose Aldo. We're not going to get the Conor McGregor that was, drunk when he versed Habib. We're getting someone who's dialed in. He said, I haven't drank since the 10-week fight camp started. So I'm just saying, if you're a betting man, put all your money on Conor McGregor. If he's not touching alcohol, he's knocking Michael Chandler out.
After seeing this clip of Conor McGregor not touching alcohol and being very disciplined, I'd be very worried if I was Michael Chandler, because it looks like he's locked in. He did everything in his power not to drink this beer.
If you're watching the clip, you're laughing because he's smelling it and he's saying, look, I can do the smell, but I can't drink it. But you just thought he was going to do it.
Hey, he looks like an addict.
And if you saw Ryan Garcia, he said he drank alcohol in his camp. So I thought, take a page out of his book, drink some alcohol, win your fight.
Now, looking over heavyweights, Aspinall says he will fight Curtis Blades.
He wants to fight Curtis Blades, but this will be the last fight he does as an interim champion. He says his next fight has to be for the undisputed champion, and if he doesn't have that next fight as undisputed, he will hold out.
He definitely wants the Jon Jones fight.
He wants to be undisputed champion.
He's been all across social media, and no one likes this act where he's kind of playing the Jon Jones as the GOAT. Come on, can we run this fight, please? Can we take the awkward clip of him going, hey, can we just do a standoff
a little
pose?
face-off, yeah.
And then, Jon Jones kind of flicked him to the side. Listen, start getting laid into him like UFC Guru did, like MMA Guru did. Because at the end of the day, people don't want a buddy-buddy undisputed title fight. Right now, you're the interim heavyweight title holder. Jon Jones is the rightful holder of the UFC, of the UFC heavyweight champion. He's going to fight Stipe Miocic, rumored to be in New York. You should be next in line if he doesn't retire. So bide your time, call him out, say you want this fight, get him to take the fight.
I do agree with what Tom Aspinall is saying, though, because if Jon Jones hasn't fought since, last July, that means, he should be the undisputed champion. He should have to relinquish that title. Tom Aspinall's now going to have a second fight for an interim title. Usually the next title fight after you win the interim is for the undisputed. The fact that he's not versing Jon Jones is laughable. Just because Jon Jones wants to verse Miocic doesn't mean that's the right thing. So I understand why Aspinall wants to hold out, but I'm just going to give him warning. That might be a long layoff because Jones is going to fight Miocic and then he might retire or not fight anyone after that. So you never know.
I guess we'll see. He's eyeing off New York. It's going to be interesting to see, almost like a year round back to where
comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly right. Back to where he started before he had to, take some time off with that torn pec. But he's back in the gym. He's training. Jon Jones is starting to look good. I want to see where it goes. I think he's got another 2 years left in him. Get in the best shape of your life and try and defend the title as much as you can.
It's all motivation. Whether he wants to fight, whether he wants to make more money. I'm sure money's not a factor.
Money.
You never know, actually. He looks like he's pretty well off.
Yeah, I mean, he's done well for himself over his career. Another big story that broke today. Logan Paul and Prime are suing Ryan Garcia. They've said he's made defamatory statements about Prime. I don't know if this started when Ryan Garcia said he tested positive for steroids because he drank Prime, but he has non-stop been going at Prime on every podcast he's been on.
Well, Ryan Garcia was putting on an act before his last fight against Devin Haney, and part of that act was going at Devin Haney, who was a Prime athlete.
Yeah.
But you can't sue Ryan Garcia because of that. Logan Paul, what are you doing?
I don't know. Look, listen, some of the things he said. Prime kills you. Prime stuffing up your brain. I tested positive for steroids because I drank Prime. These are pretty defamatory statements. I think they're funny. I think Ryan Garcia is playing a character. Logan Paul has gone after him for libel. He's gone after him for defamation. And it's kind of boiled in on social media. These guys are going at each other. He's calling him an Austrian monster, Logan Paul.
This isn't the first fighter/athlete that Logan Paul's gone after. I do recall him trying to sue Dylan Dennis. Are we going to now see Ryan Garcia trying to avoid the people serving him?
Well, what I'm seeing right now is Logan Paul, is anyone that criticizes Prime going to get sued? Because he has, and what I like about Logan Paul, anyone that kind of criticizes the product, whether you're a scientist, whether you're an influencer online.
He stands by the product.
He stands by the product. He immediately goes online and says, this is the facts. This is what he's telling you. You know what I mean? You got to respect it. I know he's the marketing face of Prime, but he goes at it. It's like I went at George Jenko.
I mean, I've said Prime sucks before. Can I be sued because of that? Is that going to set the precedent for that?
No, I think you can have your own personal opinion, but when you're saying I tested positive for steroids because I drank Prime, maybe you want to retract that.
But how can you go after him for defamation? It's a tweet. Like, he's not. I understand why it's defamatory, but it's not like you can't sue for it.
Regardless, Logan Paul and Ryan Garcia have been going at each other now, and even more so now because Ryan Garcia has been confirmed to test positive for steroids. His B sample came back positive. He's come out and his team have come out and said, listen, we've had an independent doctor take our hair sample and the hair samples come back negative. It's been a whirlwind online. They're trying to say that now that a product might be tainted and it's in a very micro dose that it wouldn't have affected his performance anyway. Now that all the facts have come out, do you still think Ryan Garcia is positive and this affected his performance against Devin Haney?
I think he's innocent just based off his tweets. If you look at his tweets in retaliation to these allegations, I fucking love steroids. Positive vibes only. I'm positive right now. I swallow all the steroids.
Yeah.
He's come out and addressed these allegations as best as one person could, and that makes me think he's innocent.
He obviously doesn't care. He knows he's going to still make money in boxing. Whether or not the New York State Athletic Commission suspend him, which is probably what's most likely going to happen, he's still going to make a lot of money in boxing, whether it's exhibitions or fighting in a different state. But at the end of the day, for a fighter that's just been found tested positive for steroids, if you look at his Twitter, it doesn't look like he gives a shit at all. Because, like you said, he's posted, I fucking love steroids.
Positive vibes only.
Yeah, we're positive today, positive vibes only. He's taking it in his stride, and it's quite funny. You can't say it's not funny. He doesn't care.
He's entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining boxers, so whether the positive results or not, he'll get another fight, he'll sell that fight, and he'll make money, which ultimately that's probably all he cares about.
Okay, is this all a stunt from Logan Paul with the suing from Prime to eventually get an influencer boxing fight, Logan Paul versus Ryan Garcia, because that would sell out?
Well, you saw Logan's lawyer on SmackDown last week. Mm-hmm. It's probably the same lawyer that's putting out these statements. You know, it's all for show. It is all for show. The more Prime publicity that you're going to get, the more products that sell. He's a smart businessman. The trial will never, the case will never see a trial. It'll never go beyond this point. It's just all for the internet. It's just all for exposure.
And you got to play, mate. Logan Paul knows how to play the game. He's in Saudi Arabia right now saying, I'm going to hit Cody Rhodes with brass knuckles. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Am I right, Garcia?
Can you get sued for that, brass knuckles? Or is that WWE it's allowed?
I think in WWE you can take whatever you want. You can use whatever foreign objects you want. Let's go over to more boxing news. Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. That just happened over the weekend. Huge undisputed title fight. Pretty sad that almost 2 weeks later they got to relinquish the undisputed title. Dubois got to fight for the IBF champion, and Anthony Joshua will face the winner of that title fight. So it's going to get split up again. But Turk Al-Sheikh, who basically is the new Dana White for boxing right now, and putting on the best Saudi Arabian fights, the Riyadh season fights, he's saying that a rematch is in the works for Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury.
It's in late August, but the biggest news to come out of that fight, or the most interesting news is, in the Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury fight, there were 20 million people illegally streaming the fight.
Hey, it's reported that 20 million people illegally streamed one of the biggest undisputed heavyweight title fights of all time. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I illegally streamed it. It was just Twitter, X. Elon's probably got to get control of that. It was just on X, and they were just refreshing these links every time. I couldn't help myself. The thing is, the time zones are a bit off. We had to get up early. I didn't really want to get on, I didn't know which I had to go through, pay-per-view or Amazon. I didn't really know. So it was just easy on Twitter. But can you blame someone that's...
I'm not ashamed to say it. Illegally streaming is the way to go. If you're paying for the pay-per-view, you're an idiot. It's free online. But it's available online for free.
Then you're not giving respect to the fighters.
I am. I'm watching.
You're taking money straight from the fighter's pocket. I'm saying if you're Netflix or you're Amazon, you got your accounts, just give it to your subscribers. Get into the boxing
That
game.
might be the future of boxing.
That's what they're doing with Jake Paul. That's what they're going to do with the NFL rights. That's what they're doing with WWE now. And I think that's the future. You won't have to illegally stream fights anymore. They're going to be live on Netflix.
I just want to know, how do they get to the 20 million number? How do you calculate that 20 million people did it?
Are they doing that from country to country? Where are they getting the VPNs?
It's like you can track pay-per-view buys because people are on your platform, but how are you tracking some link on Reddit or some link on Twitter? How does it work?
Fair enough. I don't know. I'd have to ask the fact checkers. No one. Yeah.
Well, whoever came up with that 20 million figure, I'm sorry, that's a lot of money not in your pocket.
But that's all we have time for Prime Time today. Make sure you're tuned in and subscribed on Kairouz Bros. We'll be doing a whole new episode next week, live from Newark, New Jersey. Not live, but recorded from Newark, New Jersey. We'll get our UFC fighter interviews coming up next week and some content coming out of New York.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, thank you so much, and back to you in the studio.